Arena Breakout Infinite. It's not a catchy title, but funnily enough, this new free-to-play extraction shooter is doing really well. Hello and welcome, fellow virgins. It is I, Super Virgin here, and today I'd like to talk about why Arena Breakout Infinite is the new Escape from Tarkov. Now, before I actually start the video, I want to apologize for not uploading last Sunday. I had a bit of a medical situation. It's all fine now, but I know with a smaller channel like mine, a lot of you will just think, wait, I didn't know he was gonna upload last Sunday. So all the more reason to subscribe. I upload every Sunday weekly. Anyhow, let's get into the video. I want to tell you before I go into talking about the different games that I do have a biased opinion on this video right now. Okay, I bought the Tarkov EOD edition and honestly, I feel ripped off. The Unheard edition is a big scam. I think this has been talked about and proven multiple times by a lot of different people. I think the gaming industry as a whole have definitely decided that this is a big scam. So yes, this is a biased video. Now, I don't want to talk too much about that whole situation, as you know, this has been a couple weeks back. Also, I made a video on it, so go check that one out if you haven't already. But let's go and talk about this new game, Arena Breakout. I can tell you that I'm not the only one that's hyped to play it. The game is currently in closed beta test, and to get a key, you have to actually watch a Twitch streamer play, which have drops enabled, and then so you can get your key, you can claim it, and you can start playing the game. Now, the team originally had about 60,000 keys ready for 2 weeks, and in less than 3 hours time, those 60,000 keys were all sold out. Like, they gave each and every single one of them away, and there were still so many people asking for a key after that. I was now one of the lucky ones that was able to get a second key, or the second drop event, which was another 50,000, and I think they've done another 50,000 by now, and maybe even more and more. But it is crazy to think that more than 150,000 people right now are already playing this game, with a ton more wanting to actually play now. This is of course pretty understandable. It's for good reason. Tarkov has made a very bad decision. They've had a monopoly on the genre, and with this monopoly on the genre, they have decided to be lax and not do all too much, and to not always make the best decisions that interest the consumer, the buyer here. Now, there are two competitors. We have Gray Zone Warfare and we have Arena Breakout Infinite. Now, I tried both. I actually bought Gray Zone and have refunded it since then, because despite everything that people say, I can believe that it is a good game, but I paid, I think, $40 for a game that barely runs on my PC. I have an above average PC. I'd say that, you know, I play pretty much everything properly, and this game just doesn't run really well. Understandably so. They probably pushed out their release into alpha. I know that this is still an alpha release, but they pushed into this release because of the bad decision that Battlestate Games have made to release this Unheard edition of Tarkov. But the game doesn't run well. Either everything looks like Play-Doh, or the game runs like less than 20 FPS on my PC. That is definitely not something that I want to play. Now, Arena Breakout Infinite, on the other hand, looks really good and plays smooth at 120 FPS on my computer. Perfectly fine. An above average rig can run this game absolutely beautifully. And so that just makes it easy to make a decision between a game that barely runs and a game that runs really well. Now, I know that Gray Zone will probably get a lot of different updates, and it will definitely get better over time. I will check it out maybe in a year's time or something, but we'll see how time goes where this game will go. For now, I think the majority of people want to play Arena Breakout because, well, honestly, it doesn't have a price tag on it. It is completely free to play. Now, I know that this is still a closed beta test for Arena Breakout, so yeah, this is still indeed free, but the game will actually be free forever. So when the game releases in, I don't know, half a year's time, a year's time, I don't know when it actually will release, but when it does, you can just play it. Like, you don't have to pay a single penny to play the game. Like, the gameplay you see, the gameplay you're having right now in the beta, you don't, like, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be free for everyone eventually. Now, last week, I was gonna, of course, release my video on last week Sunday, but last week, actually, the lead of Escape from Tarkov, Nikita Buyanov, made a tweet about this. Like, it wasn't directly directed to these games, but we know what he's talking about. So the tweet goes as follows: "It's been a rough couple of weeks. We wanted to keep it quiet, but it's up to you to decide if you would like to support this kind of thing and stick to the games that not only enter the genre, but do not hesitate to copy what has been done." Now, this, of course, references to the giant amount of people that I already talked about that moved to Arena Breakout, and hell, there's probably also a lot of people that moved to Gray Zone. There are hundreds of thousands of people that no longer play Tarkov in this short period of time and that have moved completely to these other two games. And honestly, all I can really say to you, Nikita, is just, I'm sorry you feel that way. For those that didn't get the joke, that is literally the closest thing we got to an apology from Nikita. I still can't believe people actually called that an apology. Saying "I'm sorry you feel that way" is not a apology. That is the closest thing we got to it. And now he's on Twitter crying like a man-child because he delivered a product that wasn't good, and then he even tried to scam people. This was pretty much, just like I said in my previous video of Tarkov, the downfall of Tarkov. The truth is that BSG isn't just really good at making games. I'm sorry to say that that is maybe a bit controversial, but honestly, they're not good at making games. They have multiple times shown that they're just not, like, they're incompetent in what they do. And next to that, they've also proven multiple times that they do not listen to the community. They do not want to make a game that people want. They want to make their games. And honestly, it's probably just Nikita that pushes this type of stuff out, but this is just sad to see. They're just not making the right decision here. And what I see in this is a story from years ago when you looked at PUBG. PUBG was the first big battle royale. And I remember on this PC, or on my previous PC, it ran at 5 FPS on release. It was a really badly optimized game, and because of that, it just felt like, wow, this is this really what we can get? But you know, there's nowhere else to go. They have a monopoly on the genre, and this time around it's an extraction shooter. Back then it was battle royale, but then new battle royales came out, and all of a sudden everyone started moving to other battle royales. And PUBG still, of course, has a player base, but let's be honest here, it's far from the best battle royale that's out there. I think a lot of people are going to argue that it's at least in the top 10. I don't know. I haven't played the game in years. Ever since new battle royales came out, I didn't touch that shit because I do not care about it anymore. And I feel like this is going to happen the same for Tarkov. It lost a giant amount of people. I think a lot of people are just going to stay with Arena Breakout this time around. Let's dial back a bit and go to the subject of the video, you know, the difference between Arena Breakout and Escape from Tarkov, and to say that it is the new Tarkov. Well, to say it broad, there is a vast amount of similarities between the two games that other games aren't too similar in. For instance, when you look at Gray Zone, it is done in a jungle, while Arena Breakout and Tarkov are both, I think, set in Russia somewhere, at least a Russian-speaking country, something like that, somewhere on the eastern side of Europe. But the big difference is that Arena Breakout knows when it doesn't need to be realistic and knows when it needs to be realistic. Let's look at, for instance, you know, getting one-tapped. When you get a headshot, not every game lets you die in a single bullet. I'm looking at a game like, for instance, Warzone. Call of Duty Warzone doesn't one-tap you when you get headshot, unless, of course, with a sniper, but you understand what that means. It's a bit of realism that those games need when they want to be a realistic extraction shooter. Then there's, of course, also the ammo and the armor types. You have penetration in the ammo, so your guns don't really matter as much as your ammo does. Having a shitty gun with really good ammo is always going to be better than having a really good gun with the worst ammo. The same goes for having good armor. If you have really good armor, people aren't going to get through that armor with their bullets. That is something that is realistic about both games, but you know, that definitely needs to be added to this game. It understands when it needs to be realistic. Same goes for food and water. You know, if you didn't have that part of the game, every time you heal, you lose a bit of water, you lose a bit of food, for instance, with painkillers or whatnot. If not, people would just be cracked up on painkillers the entire time, running around the game acting like it's Call of Duty, and that's not the way that this game is supposed to be played. Then there's the big difference that is so noticeable, is just the amount of time it takes to queue. When you play Tarkov, first you have to make your kit. This takes maybe like 10 minutes to do. Then you have to queue up, which takes another 5 minutes, and then you're loaded in. So every 15 minutes, there's a 15-minute gap between each and every game, and that doesn't even include when you get, for instance, killed 5 minutes in and your buddy survives another half hour. That is a lot of time that gets wasted when you want to just play the game. In Arena Breakout, this is very, very simple. First of all, you can spectate. That is a change that I don't even understand why that hasn't still been added to Tarkov, probably due to the incompetence of BSG. But you can spectate, which is already a nice addition, and you can automatically equip the items that you want to equip. For instance, nades and healing and whatnot, you can do that very simple. Same goes for armor, goes for ammo. The magazines you take, the ammo already goes in those magazines, so you don't have to do those extra steps. It basically says to you, take the least amount of steps to go back into the game. It takes a minute maybe to make your kit and then go in the game, and that also takes about a minute or two. So we're talking about a difference of, I think, 5 times the amount. So instead of having 15 minutes, you just take 3 minutes between each and time you go out of a raid. That of course doesn't include selling your items and whatnot, but that is a thing that, you know, both games honestly just take some time to do. But overall, there is just a lot of different UI and quality of life changes that just the game needed. Tarkov needed this. They've been asked this for years to do this. They just decided not to do this. Battlestate decided, fuck that, we're not doing that, we're doing this. And now Arena Breakout has come with these ideas because they've listened to a community that wasn't even talking to them, and now the community's like, hey, thank you for doing that, this is really cool. Same goes for being able to see your friends with the name tag above their heads. I know that a lot of people might actually be a bit upset about that because, you know, not realistic, but it doesn't need to be realistic there. I don't need to just be constantly like, are you there? Oh, wiggle, can you jump? I don't need to have that whole dynamic. It's not a fun thing to do. It's fun for 3 or 4 times when it happens, but then you end up with team kills and you end up with this and that. It's just not really too fun. This of course adds a bit of a more casual friendly gameplay loop. The game also feels a lot more like Call of Duty Warzone. I feel like when I play the game, I feel like, you know, there's elements of that in there, or at least it looks like that. This may be due to the fact that it's made in Unreal. Tarkov is made in Unity, so this is of course a different engine. That might also mean the performance is different. I don't know exactly how that all works, but those are probably changes that also matter. So overall, I think, you know, a lot of very, very good decisions made by the Arena Breakout team compared to what Escape From Tarkov has delivered. A bit more casual friendly, but honestly, I think the majority of people who play Tarkov enjoyed the realism, but sometimes it was too realistic or too annoying in that sense. Now, there are some concerns, however. For one, Arena Breakout is a free-to-play, and we all know free-to-plays can have some egregious monetization. Jesus Christ. Also, it's owned by Tencent. And Tencent are definitely known for some very, very bad monetization. Now, so far in the beta, they've actually proven that they're pretty nice about it. Each and every time that something happens, like the game is down for maybe an hour or two, they just give you in-game money. They're like, here, if you claim this within the week in the game, you have 200,000. Now, I think an average kid that I have is about 70,000, so that's just not 3 kits. If you have a bit more extra money, you can have actually 3 kits with that amount of money. That's a lot of stuff to get just for a game getting an update, so that is definitely a positive change. But then we don't know what the monetization will give us later when we do actually need in-game money and whatnot. So far, I think it's only going to be skins. I don't know. I really think we should wait for the long run to see this. When the game releases, there'll probably be a lot of monetization in there. I just hope it's like the mobile game where it doesn't take it too far. Then there's of course also the requirements of the game. They aren't low. Now, this is in general not that big of a deal because, you know, people understand how the rigs work and whatnot, but being under the requirements means you cannot play the game. There are people who have actually claimed a key and then realized they were under the requirements, so the moment they try to play the game just shuts off and tells them like, you cannot play the game. Like, you are not allowed to play this because your PC cannot handle this. Now, like I said, I have an above average PC. It runs very, very smoothly. So this is probably to just make sure that the experience for every single player is absolutely smooth and perfect. A very good decision, honestly. Tarkov sometimes runs like shit, and I have, like I said, on the same PC, an above average PC, that game runs like shit. Arena Breakout runs really, really good. So it's really to be seen. The quality of life for the player here is definitely a very important thing to them. Now, overall, again, I believe that Arena Breakout is indeed a better game than Escape from Tarkov, and it is going to stay that way. I think this is going to be a really good change in the genre, and we've finally seen the king get dethroned. We finally have a new king. I don't know yet. It's a beta. We still have to wait, of course. But I am hopeful that at least Arena Breakout will stay a very, very good game, and that we will get a game delivered for the people rather than for the money. Now, before I end the video, I just wanted to talk about the copers in the Escape from Tarkov. Oh my god, there are so many people. They're like, oh, this is Chinese Escape from Tarkov. Oh yeah, this is expected from a free-to-play. Oh yeah, this and that and this. They try to find every scarce little bit of bad thing they can find about the game and then use that to claim, yeah, this is a worse game than Escape from Tarkov. My brother in Christ, I'll say it that way, my brother in Christ, you have been scammed. Like I already stated in this video, the gaming industry have come together to like decide, yeah, this is the biggest scam in modern gaming like ever. Like it's insane. Nobody would try this. Even EA wouldn't do this. They didn't double down. They didn't triple down. They just kept fucking going with this idea. They kept saying, this is a scam, but you'll be scammed. Just pay the money. Just pay the money and you'll be scammed. It'll all be fine. And you still cope with this? Why did you pay more than $100? Stop coping with this shit. This doesn't work. Anyhow, it makes me angry when people just don't understand the fact that they're being scammed, even when they're told in their face, like, we spelled it out for you, you're being scammed here, don't pay this amount of money. It's honestly really sad, but we'll see what it brings in the future, how many people still play Escape from Tarkov. But what do you think? Are you a true believer, like Nikita said, and do you still spend time and money on Escape from Tarkov, or have you moved on and gone to different games like Gray Zone or Arena Breakout? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're there, leave a like if you've made it this far in the video, and subscribe to the channel for, like I said, more weekly content like this every Sunday. It helps spread my content as a smaller channel, so it helps the algorithm know that, you know, my content needs to be spread throughout the entirety of YouTube. Anyhow, I hope you had a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.